of government. We move on to our next story. The Ondo State House of Assembly has dragged a Federal High Court judge, Justice Emeka Nwite, before the National Judicial Council, NJC, for allegedly compromising his office and violating the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Relatedly, the Assembly issued a fresh directive yesterday to the State Chief Judge, Olusegun Odushola, to immediately set up a 7-man panel to investigate Deputy Governor Lucky Ayedatiwa over allegations leveled against him. The Assembly described an ex parte injunction granted by the Federal High Court Abuja on September 26, restraining the state legislature from impeaching Ayedatiwa as unconstitutional and clearly malevolent. Fine.
Yes, so this conundrum in Ondo has continued for a while. A little bit of a background to it. The governor was away for a while. And while the governor was away for a while, the deputy governor was in there. Somebody would have thought that, hey, they had a smooth relationship. But when the governor came back, his loyalists told him something else different. Many allegations. Oh, he was overreaching himself and all of that. Then another fight ensued between both parties. Governor Akeredolu, this was the exact same way he had fights with his former deputy governor. So he's done 2 deputy governors now, and there's no fight. He has had fights with them. Now the House is trying to muscle the deputy governor out of office. The deputy governor goes to court, gets an injunction. The House is saying, no, that injunction is not constitutional. That they want to report that the judge that gave that injunction. So it's a clear case of what you call in local parlance, yam pepper scatter scatter. So what is happening now is that it is more about the interest of the politicians in Ondo State rather than the people. Because somebody would have thought that in a sane society, politicians can patch up things. Not that they are the most loyal people themselves, but no. The big question is, will this be like the last deputy governor that the governor tried pushing out, but he was not successful? Or will Ayedatiwa be able to have his way? It's another test case, just like the last incident in Ondo State. But the sad part for me is, despite all of this they are wrangling, it is the people, the poor people, that suffer. And the Ondo people have a lot of problems. There's massive problem of insecurity. Yes, Amotekun has been put in there and the police and all of that. But there's still far-reaching incidents of insecurity and the likes. All of that is not dealt with. Now we're dealing with legal back and forth. And when you look at it, the House keeps on saying, oh, the allegations, he bought 300 million worth of bulletproof cars and all of that. But you see, the thing in Nigeria is, it's so easy to get allegations against someone. Once people want to push you out, they are so easy to get allegations. And as long as the House has so much powers as entered in the Constitution to be able to push you out. But in all of this, it is the people that are suffering. So why can't these politicians shield their swords for the interests of the suffering people in Ondo States? I mean, that's the formative question here, because power is transient. In no time, the tenure will be over. But what do we know? Last
time we discussed this topic, I made a point that the situation that we have seen in Edo State, and also now at a larger scale in Ondo State, and that we have seen previously in many parts of the country, we seem to draw the attention to the fact that the role of deputy governors under our constitution will have to be properly defined. Are deputy governors really partners, or are they spare tires, as they are otherwise referred to? Now, they have a constitutional rule. Section 187, sub 1, says that you cannot be a governor except you have a deputy. And that your deputy, you and the deputy, you are running on a joint ticket. Okay? So in other words, it's a joint ticket. You can't have a governor without having a deputy, in the same manner in which you can't have a president without having a vice president. But in the Constitution, you know, it's as if the deputy governor holds his position at the behest of the governor. who operates like a monarch. The Nigerian Constitution has made certain government officials, in elective positions, monarchs. Now, what happened in this particular case? Section 191 of the same Constitution says, if the governor is not available, either by fact of death, resignation, incapacitation, or he goes on leave, his deputy acts. So what we have in Ondo State was that Governor Akeredolu, Arakunrin Akeredolu, as is otherwise known, went on medical vacation for 3 months in Germany. During that period, it only stands to reason that the only person that could have acted for him was his deputy, Ayedatiwa. Only for him to return, and then all these problems started. Allegations that the deputy governor was spreading rumor about the governor's death, that the media aides of the deputy governor were over-promoting him. Those ones were the first that were sent adrift. The governor sacked the media aides of his deputy. The next thing we got to hear was that the House of Assembly has served notice of his impeachment. Now they claim they are acting in line with Section 188 of the Constitution, which is a section of the Constitution that deals with the impeachment, or removal from office of the deputy governor or the governor. And now they serve that notice 14 days. Section 188 says 14 days notice. Ayedatiwa did not respond. Instead, he went to a federal high court in Abuja, where he got an injunction restraining the assembly from removing him, restraining the governor from appointing or choosing another deputy governor. But the House of Assembly chose to ignore that injunction, because of the doctrine of the separation of powers. They've now gone ahead. Simple resolution. More than 1/3 of the House of Assembly under Section 188(2). They have now asked the CJ, Chief Judge of Ondo State, to set up a panel of 7. Now, that same Constitution in Section 188 says that panel will have up to 3 months. And there will be people who are non-partisan, honest people, people of impeccable integrity and all that. I hope that there's any such human being in the whole of Ondo State, even in the whole of Nigeria. Where would they find these 7 persons that would not be tainted, given the circumstances, particularly in Ondo State? And in any case, it doesn't look like they want to do this within 3 months. The Constitution says within 3 months. But the part of it that you have to worry about is Section 188 sub 11, as I pointed out. They say they have raised 14 allegations against Ayedatiwa. But the mind of the Assembly is made up, following the governor's prompting, as is obvious, to remove him. And the sub 11 of that Constitution 188 says that, look, if they can just establish any grave violation of any of the provisions of this Constitution, or anything that amounts to such, in the opinion of the House of Assembly. So their opinion, since more than 1/3 have said Ayedatiwa has to go, that's their opinion. So the man is as good as gone. That's the scenario you have in Ondo State. But the bigger question that the people of Ondo State are asking now, is that where is Governor Akeredolu? Since his return, he did not show up in the monthly meeting of the National Economic Council. He was not there. On October 1, Ondo State was perhaps the only state where the governor did not address the people on Independence Day. Since his return, the weekly EXCO meeting of Ondo State has never held. 4, since his return, nobody has cited him on the streets of Akure or any part of Ondo State. He has been staying in Ibadan. And the conundrum that people are asking is that, okay, who is ruling Ondo State? The governor is holed up in his house in Ibadan. The deputy governor is running between Akure and Abuja, trying to fight for his survival. The House of Assembly, led by the Speaker, is busy quoting Section 188 of the Constitution in order to walk to a particular answer. So that's why I agree with the view that it's the people of Ondo State that should change. And the people of Ondo State have now established a firm precedent whereby a governor can rule from diaspora. because Oyo State will look like diaspora to the people of Ondo State. Their governor is in Ibadan. He's not in Akure. So that is the other question. But I think the bigger question is where I started from. Namely, that should deputy governors continue to be treated as spare tires? Should they continue to be at the mercy of their principals who are actually on a joint ticket? What's his name? What do they call that one? Shaibu. Yeah. Shaibu in Edo State. He is remaining as a deputy governor because he has had to apologize and send people to the governor to go and beg, to say, please forgive me. Now, that reduces the kind of, quality service that persons occupying these positions can offer the people if they spend all their time quarreling. Obasanjo's second term was practically tied down by a quarrel between him and Atiku Abubakar at the time as a vice president, with the villa divided. So we have seen so many spectacles of this, and I think it's the Nigerian people themselves, through the instrumentality of the Senate, that should give a firm definition of what should be the responsibilities of persons, who will elect into these important positions. Whatever happens to Ayedatiwa, those issues, we will still have to return to them. And of course, it's for the people of Ondo State to ask the question, where is our governor? Who is in charge at this particular moment?
Hashtag, where is our governor? Well, let me come back, Dr. Batia, to respond, because you are impugning on our integrity, saying that you cannot find the quality of people in the whole of Nigeria when we are three of us are here. Okay. I don't
No, but we are not in Ondo State now.
No, he said Ondo. In fact, he said the entire Nigeria, and I'm like, no. We are people of integrity. Please.
No, we are people of integrity.
Yes, we can.
Why will you say
unimpeachable integrity, and who are also not partisan, who are not biased in this country?
Yes. Okay.
Yes. Or are you biased?
Okay.
All right. I mean, just to mention that.
Are you biased?
Absolutely correct in terms of the fact that it's the people that suffer. But very importantly is the issue around governance, and I think it's something we must look into as a nation. We've seen this play out for too long and too frequently not to begin to investigate the process on which, not just at presidential level, but especially at governorship level. And perhaps this is now time for the APC to wade in, because they both belong to the same party. And so as some people have begun to call on even the president, and I mean, president has a lot on his hands at the moment and in the area of even leading the nation, but the APC leaders, because it's bad for the optics. In a sane society, this could potentially cost these, the APC a seat at governorship level, because you are holding the state to ransom because both of you cannot agree and you both belong to the same party. So I believe that it is time for the APC and leaders, chieftains of the APC, to address and speak to this matter, and perhaps put structures in place for this, to avoid situations like this happening. And cuts across different parties. I mentioned the APC here because this is in Ondo State. In Edo State, the PDP should also wade in. I mean, that has hopefully been sorted with the apology given. But in this particular area, the governor is not there. The deputy governor cannot act. The House of Assembly and the Speaker of the House are with the governor. They are looking for the deputy governor to serve him, well, he's been served notice of impeachment, to impeach him, and they are writing petitions to the NJC to sanction Justice Emeka Nwite for granting that and for ruling in the favor of the deputy governor to hold or to stall any kind of moves of impeachment against the deputy governor. So many things around this. But what it does at best is to distract from the actual job and duty of governance in the state. And so it means that a number of things will be stalled. The people are still hungry. There's biting inflation. The state of education in the school, in the state, the state of workers in the state. How will they deliberate and agree on perhaps review of workers' salary for state, civil servants? So these are the issues we should be talking about, and the conflict between the governor and deputy governor should not be dominating headlines when there are critical issues in the state to be addressed. So let them settle their home affairs in this case internal issues, but because it impacts on governance in the state, we must talk about it, but it should no longer dominate our headlines. Let the people and the plight of the people and the actual issue of governance dominate our headlines, going forward. Move on to our